Hi, and welcome to my channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Kate. I'm an integrative relational psychotherapist, a life coach, a yoga instructor, and an author. If you would like to schedule an individual online session with me, you can find all of the relevant information on my webpage. Now, moving on to today's topic, which is how to set boundaries, how to say no. I've noticed in therapy lately that many people are simply incapable of setting boundaries, of saying no. Well, some of them are incapable of setting boundaries, some of them don't know how to set boundaries, and many of them are not even aware that other people are crossing their boundaries on a daily basis, almost, in any kind of a relationship they have, be it professional, personal, romantic, friendly, you name it. So why is it that people have such difficulties setting boundaries, even when they know they should be setting a boundary or a limit or just say no? Well, reasons vary because we're each different and we come from a different background. And background, i.e. family upbringing, is definitely one of the reasons why some people are better at setting boundaries than other people. Because if you've been growing up in a family where boundaries were crossed on a regular basis, when you were never allowed to say no or do things your way, and where your privacy was intruded, then I guess you just sort of take it for granted. You know, people will be crossing my boundaries and there's nothing I can do about it. And if you did grow up in such an environment, then you probably have no experience what it's like to set a boundary, a healthy boundary. Setting boundaries doesn't mean that you will now, put a shield up or build a wall around you. No, it's just saying no when you think you should be saying no, and it's setting boundaries in the sense of telling other people that they have crossed a line. But why do many people still, refuse to set boundaries, even though they know deep down inside that, well, that was one of those situations when I should have set the boundaries and I didn't do it again, and feel terrible after it? Well, for women, it is often this sense of duty. Women have to be polite, they have to obey, they shouldn't have, a mind of their own, which of course is complete nonsense. But if you grow up in a culture where you're told that women should be XYZ or should behave in ABC, then you have no other experience than that, what's been told is the right thing to do, or you were instructed as to how you are to behave properly. So women, again, have considerable difficulties in setting boundaries, precisely because of the cultural introjects, because they were told that they should be lenient, they should be patient, they should be diligent, they should never say no, they should be people-pleasing, in fact. And whenever a woman then decides to set a boundary, to say no, to say that she disagrees with somebody or something, she immediately feels guilty. Because who is she to be setting boundaries, right? And not only guilt, there are many other emotions that women are experiencing when deciding whether to set a boundary or not. For example, there is also a great fear of rejection. Will that person still like me if I say no? Will I be an outcast if I start setting boundaries, if I don't agree with everything other people require me to do? Many women and men as well, I guess, do not want to be seen as too strict or, too demanding or even selfish. Because what's the first reaction many people have when you say no to them? Well, they often label you as selfish, egotistical, narcissistic even though there is nothing narcissistic in a specific case when you do set a boundary or say no. And it's funny that so many people have problems setting boundaries and saying no, because if we look back into our early childhood and into the developmental phases, then we have all been there. I'm sure you've heard of the terrible 2 phase. And what happens when children hit the age of 2? Well, they often rebel. They scream their lungs out when they don't agree with something. Their favorite word is no, 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 no. Even though they often don't know what they're saying no to, they are quite fond of using the word no. And all of this means that most of us had an experience of saying no, even though back then when we were 2, our wishes were probably not taken into account very much, nor our protests. However, we do have this impulse. We do know that if something doesn't feel right, if we think that we shouldn't be doing something, or if we believe that this is wrong, or if we don't want to do something, we do have this impulse to say no. It's just that we've been then culturally and socially conditioned to comply, to oblige, because what will other people think of me or say about me if I say no to their demands? And just like with any other thing, setting boundaries requires practice, lots and lots of practice, especially if you're starting from scratch. The situation is still not hopeless. Even if you've never been able to set boundaries, you can still learn how to do that. But before you embark on that path, you need to learn to recognize when your boundaries are being crossed. That requires a little bit of self-work and also self-reflection. So when you do interact with people, try to observe what is happening to you, what is happening within your mind, what are you experiencing in your body, especially when something asks you to do something that you are viscerally against. So I do hope this video was insightful. If you would like to learn how to set boundaries, you can also schedule an individual session with me and we can talk about that. And if you like the video, do like it and share it. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, do so. I wish you a lovely day and, get busy. Start setting boundaries. It will be good for you. Healthy boundaries, not just boundaries out of principle or out of spite. Healthy boundaries because you think and you feel it's the right thing to do. Bye-bye.